Amazon has more than 1 million robots across its operations and is now testing humanoids. But if you look at the current stock valuation, investors are completely ignoring it. I want to break down why I think Amazon stock is one of the most overlooked robotic plays in the market right now. It all started in 2012 when they acquired Kiva Systems for $775 million because 50 to 60% of warehouse labor costs came from workers walking to find inventory. I will say it again, walking, not working. Kiva made robots that carried entire shelving units to workers, instead of having workers walk to the shelves. Within 4 years of the acquisition, this cut Amazon's operating expenses by roughly 20% per warehouse, saving about $22 million per fulfillment center, a $775 million bet that paid off faster than anyone expected. That blueprint drove everything that came after it. In 2020, Amazon had 200,000 robots. Today, they have over 1 million. Their fleet handles roughly 75% of all customer orders at some point in the fulfillment journey. Amazon is not building this only internally. In 2022, they committed $1 billion to the Amazon Industrial Innovation Fund, designed exclusively to invest in robotics and automation companies. The fund recently expanded to cover last-mile delivery and autonomous vehicles. Amazon Industrial Innovation Fund has backed 22 companies, and nobody is covering it as an investment thesis. That commitment is specifically designed to solve the one problem their current fleet cannot. The current generation of robots has a hard ceiling. They handle structured, predictable tasks. The moment an item is fragile, irregular, or packed in an unusual way, a human hand takes over. That gap has always been the limit of warehouse automation, until now. One of the first investments of the Amazon Industrial Innovation Fund was Agility Robotics, the company behind Digit, the humanoid robot Amazon is now testing in its own warehouses. It walks upright, navigates around obstacles, and operates in buildings designed for humans. Amazon has more than 1,300 active logistics facilities globally. A robot that works in any of those existing facilities without redesigning a single one changes the deployment math entirely. Digit handles movement and navigation. The remaining problem was touch. Most robots cannot feel what they are holding, so fragile items and anything requiring a careful grip have always gone to a human hand. Amazon's answer is Vulcan, their first robot engineered with a physical sense of touch. It can feel how hard it is gripping or pushing, so it handles items it was never specifically trained on. Vulcan already picks and stores roughly 75% of everything Amazon stores in its fulfillment centers at speeds comparable to a human worker. When it cannot safely move an item, it asks a human to step in instead of forcing it. Amazon is the biggest potential customer for robotics on the planet. Every dollar Amazon saves from the robot stays in its own margins. And that is the Amazon stock thesis. But why would an online store want to own a robotaxi company? Amazon acquired Zoox in 2020 for $1.2 billion. On the surface, it looks like a side bet, similar to Google's Waymo. But Zoox is not just a robotaxi company. It is a self-driving technology company that happens to be selling rides today. Zoox has already given more than 500,000 free rides across Las Vegas, San Francisco, Austin, and Miami. Waymo, its closest competitor, is doing 500,000 paid rides every week and is expanding to Europe and Asia. The two companies are at completely different stages of the business, with Zoox years behind on commercial scale. While everyone is watching Waymo, almost nobody is talking about what Zoox is actually being built to become. That gap is actually the point. As Zoox expands its robotaxi network and starts generating real-world driving data at scale, the same self-driving technology becomes the foundation for something else entirely: autonomous last-mile delivery. The car that picks up passengers today is the same platform that can drop off your packages tomorrow. Amazon wants to deliver every package without a single driver on the payroll. Now picture this. A self-driving car stops in front of your home. A humanoid robot steps out and delivers the package to your door. This is not science fiction, this is the end game for Amazon. Last mile delivery accounts for up to 53% of total shipping cost, and most of that is labor. If this plays out, Amazon removes that labor cost and reduces the total significantly. They're running the same play with drones. Prime Air is targeting 500 million deliveries by 2030. Right now, a drone delivery costs Amazon around $63, while customers pay about $10 for it. That gap looks bad in isolation, but it shrinks fast once the fleet is built and the infrastructure is paid for. After that, each additional delivery costs a few cents in electricity. The expensive part is building it. The marginal delivery is almost free. Amazon's retail margin is 5.83%, but that figure already includes high margin advertising revenue. The pure retail and logistics operation runs lower than that. Robots adding 1 to 3 percentage points on $588 billion in retail revenue generates billions in operating income every year. Amazon's internal documents project they can double their sales volume without hiring an additional 600,000 workers. The robots making all of this possible do not run on instinct. They run on software built by a company I'm covering in my next video. Amazon builds the robots, but NVIDIA is building the operating system that makes them intelligent. My next video covers their robotics play and why I think this is the most underappreciated part of their business right now. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe to my channel and click the bell button. Now let's open Stockpicker and look at what the Amazon stock fundamentals actually show. Their revenue for 2025 was $716 billion, officially making them the company with the highest revenue on Earth. Analysts project $824 billion for 2026, implying 15% growth, an acceleration from last year when it grew 12.4%. This is significant at that scale, and it shows the investments are adding to the top line. Looking out to 2030, the revenue forecast comes in at $1.34 trillion, trillion with a T. Operating margin increased from 6.4% in 2023 to 11.16% in 2025. That is mostly because AWS is growing faster than the retail business, and AWS margin last quarter was 37.6%. As a result, in Q1 2026, Amazon's operating margin reached a record high of 13.1%. Now let's address the elephant in the room. CapEx for 2025 was $130 billion, and it is projected at $200 billion for 2026. Amazon's retail business is capital intensive by definition. The cloud business is also capital intensive, and it drives the CapEx up. However, CEO Andy Jassy has repeatedly mentioned that they do not have enough capacity to meet the demand from cloud customers. Whenever they build new capacity, it is automatically sold. The biggest risk here is not the CapEx itself. The risk comes with potential data center delays due to power shortages or regulatory approvals. Amazon is a company unlike any other. They have been reinvesting every dollar since the beginning. Even now, at a $2.5 trillion valuation, they keep reinvesting heavily. However, these reinvestments keep their net profit and free cash flow relatively low. That is why price to operating cash flow is a much more efficient metric to evaluate the company than price to earnings. Let's open the Stockpicker comparison tool to compare the valuation of Amazon and Google. If we check the PE ratio, we can see that Amazon has always seemed overvalued compared to Google. However, if we switch to price to operating cash flow, we can see a different story. Google is at 24x, while Amazon is at 17x. Investors are willing to pay for Google almost 50% more than they are paying for Amazon. That's a significant gap in valuation. Analysts are projecting Amazon to almost double operating cash flow by 2030, from $139 to $261 billion. If we project valuation between 15 to 20x operating cash flow, that would be $4 to $5 trillion in market cap. Of course, many things can happen in the next 5 years, positive or negative. This is not financial advice, I'm just looking at the available numbers. Full disclosure, I own Amazon stock. It is my second largest holding across my two portfolios. I was buying throughout 2025 and have not added more in 2026. Make sure you do your own research before making any decisions. In this playlist right here, we break down companies the same way. We start with the story and then validate it with fundamentals in Stockpicker.